Hey everybody, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra. We have an absolute treat for you today with Chief Marketing Officer Neil and Director of Training. And we are at Cigars Daily in their brand new space. Check that out, that's pretty cool. In fact, I don't even know if Tim has recorded here.
I'm not sure he has.
But today I have a Sunday gear review for you. We got this ankle medical kit delivered from Mountain Man Medical. And this is my ankle kit. This is built from the equipment that I carry in mine, and I want to talk to you about what shows up in here, why it costs what it costs, and how you can put it together. Big Tex Outdoors has holsters, accessories, optics, and other parts that you need as a self-defender. I'm one of his customers and I recommend him highly. Check out the page on our website with our favorite deals. So, of course, thank you to Big Tex for sponsoring our gear reviews. And Cigars Daily is good friends. They help support the Work Up SWAT ministries and rescue underage girls from sex slavery. And I think that's a moral good. So if you're into cigars, come and get us cigars at cigardaily.com. Right. They're cool folks as well. And of course, Mountain Man Medical is a sponsor as well. So we're like sponsor heavy today, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you this stuff. But before I do that, I wanna show you that I'm not lying. So here I am, just in my everyday, and there is mine, okay? So mine looks like this, and you can see I've been using it for several years, and it's a little kind of beat up. Not beat up, it's just showing the fact that, it's a couple of years of use, okay? So I wear this literally every day. It is the most comfortable ankle cuff that I have ever seen, okay? And I've tried to carry a bunch of different ankle cuffs, and they're just, they got hot spots, and they don't feel right, and all that. But I like having a medical kit. I've used it 4 times now. Just got to be first responder at a car wreck last week, in fact. That thankfully I didn't need a whole lot of my equipment, but I did need the training. So,
Agreed.
you know, that's a big deal. All right, so that's what it looks like all put together, but I wanna show you kind of what comes in the bag, because of course they don't put it together for you. They put all the stuff in the bag. Right. So I'm gonna open this bad boy up, and then we're gonna start pulling out the stuff that comes in it. And okay, so I need you to understand, this guy, all things put together, is about 160 bucks, and it's not cheap. And you go, well, gosh, John, why in the world would I spend that when I can go and get one? And in fact, even Mountain Man Medical has a cheaper one on their website.
They do.
And so you could buy that one, and that one's fine, but this one's a little bit more because of the materials that go into it and because of the quality of the product. So it starts with a Wilderness Tactical ankle cuff, all right? And this one is a brand new one and is super nice. I'm gonna tell you why I use this one. This one was what was known as the US Palm cuff. So when US Palm was in business, this is the one that they made. And basically it is a big stretchy piece of fabric that they have Velcro on the outsides of, and well, I guess they call it hook and loop because Velcro is a name brand, right? Yeah, we don't want to do that. Careful!
Sorry,
and so you've got a little bit of that, and it adjusts to the size of your ankle. Now, I'm gonna tell you, the one thing we did as a cost-saving measure out of this is that I keep a set of Leatherman Raptors in mine, and that's another 70 bucks.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are expensive, and okay, I've used mine. Now, instead, they included, your typical like $8 set of shears, and you can get us $8 set of shears on Amazon, whatever, and these work great. If you've ever used them, they'll cut right through a leather belt, they'll cut right through a heavy coat, those kinds of things. And I did ask them, this is the one adjustment they've ever made on this kit for active self-protection, is that this little cuff is now longer, this little sleeve, so that it holds your scissors in a better spot. It was better for my Raptors, works better for these as well. Yep. So obviously we put that in there first. Now, this guy, you'll see some others that are cheaper. You'll see sometimes, and you can even get these. Sam at the Wilderness will make these with like an overloop so that you can secure stuff down. Guys, I've been wearing this way for literally years, several years, and never had a problem. Like, it just doesn't come out. I mean, and the reason that it doesn't, stretchy. It's stretchy, right? Yep. All right, next stuff that's in here. Probably the biggest thing. I use a soft tee, a Special Operations Forces tourniquet in here. Now, you don't just take the bag and stuff it in your thing. Why? Because look at it. It's packed like a softball, for gracious sakes. It's packed like this big old monster. Well, what we want instead is we want it to have a little bit more thinness in it. But I love the soft tee. Now, you've done some Stop the Bleed stuff as well.
Yep.
And we really want a Committee of Tactical Combat Casualty Care approved tourniquet, right? And so I know some people are going to be like, hey, John, why don't you use a different tourniquet? Well, number one, because I want it to work. I want it to work when the chips are down, and I don't want to think about, is my tourniquet going to do what I need it to do in the moment? Instead, I need it to function. And that means Committee of Tactical Combat Casualty Care approved tourniquet, right?
Agreed.
So
Yep.
let's not futz around with that, shall we? All right, so now here's what we're gonna do. We are going to then flat pack this bad boy. So here's what I do, is that I simply take this like this. Now you notice here that the windlass is about this long, right? Now, what I have done instead is if you just fold it over flat like this, then that windlass is going to stick out a little bit. So what I do here is I take this and I kind of change where my windlass is setting to set it on the side. So all I did here was take my windlass off, set it on the side, and then use the rest of this and fold it over starting right at that same point. And now my windlass is the length of my tourniquet. Then I take the rest of this guy, fold him up again, and fold that over. Now the reason that I like that in this configuration is that number one, it's as flat as it's gonna get, okay? Number two, I can then stuff this down inside of my pouch. So what I do is I use this one back behind my scissors for my gloves, and then I use my tourniquet and stuff that bad boy right
in the next one.
In the next one. And so then the reason that I like it in the condition that it is you notice, all right, so I've kind of stuffed that bad boy down in there and get it kind of all the way to the bottom. And a couple things. Number one, because you're gonna have this covered by your pant leg, right? So it's not gonna get too beat up. Several years later, that's what my kind of orange one looks like. But it doesn't stick up super far. This is the reason I use a soft tee instead of the cat in here, because the cat sticks up farther and it sticks out farther when you've got it folded up. So that guy is nice and foldy. Next thing that we're gonna put in here, a little mini compression bandage, right? So we can arrange these and adjust these. Here's my thing. What I would encourage you to do when you get this is figure out kind of which pouch for your ankle shape is the right one. And you might need to move them around a little bit. You might need to move it kind of from one to the other. But all I'm gonna do with this is a couple of things. So notice what you've got here is you've got this little pad here that what you do is just rip that open. I would recommend, if you want to have a little extra here, take a little piece of duct tape and duct tape it to this bad boy so you get even a bigger handle, right? You don't have to do that, but it can give you a little bit more purchase on it. But what we're going to do in order to fold it in there correctly is then we are going to fold these edges over like so. This is rocket science, little medical equipment origami. And then what that does here is that folds this guy down as small as it's going to get. Because one of the things that I don't like is if you don't do that and these little edges stick up and then they rub into your ankle.
Yep, they scratch.
They scratch, and you don't want that, right? So then what I'm going to do is same thing here. Just take a little bit of patience. And this is a compression bandage, which, believe it or not, I know some people say, well, John, I want to have a tourniquet that works on children or infants. A compression bandage will get occlusion on major traumatic bleeding on infants and children about 99% of the time.
Yeah.
So
isn't it interesting when you start talking about tourniquets that
people lose their mind?
The internet starts on fire.
The internet goes loony when you start talking about tourniquets. Yep. So compression bandage is in there. Next thing I want to have is I want to have some hemostatic agent, okay? So what the hemostatic does, I will tell you, I've used my hemostatic before on an actual patient, right? Had a guy, got run over basically by a Bronco, and he was riding his bike, riding without a helmet on.
A Ford Bronco, not a horse.
Correct, a Ford Bronco. Oh, okay. And smacked his head into the grill of the Bronco, or under the hood, right? So the grill went into his bike and him, head went in there, back down onto the pavement, put a big gash on the back of his head, and he was bleeding pretty heavy when I got to him, and his eyes were rolled up in the back of his head. After a minute of trying to get that bleeding to stop, it wouldn't stop. Out comes the hemostatic agent. Pull that gauze out, stick it on the back of his head, knock that stuff out like that, wait for the paramedics to show up. Same thing here though, okay, so you can see here it's got a couple of spots, so I can grab a hold of this and peel this off. If you want a little bit more purchase, a little bit of duct tape, okay? And same thing, all I'm gonna do here is I'm going to do a little bit of trauma medical origami, fold the edges over. That doesn't hurt nothing on it. And these will stay good for a number of years. You do wanna kind of pay attention. They do have an expiration date on it. Is the expiration date real? I guess it depends on who you ask, right? Kind of depends. But I am then going to, I keep doing this, I've got it out on the table here. And again, same thing, just put that inside there, okay? Got a couple more things that we gotta get in here. Number one, a couple of chest seals. In particular, you guys get an upgrade. I'm showing you these Russell chest seals. If you notice, I got a couple of hyphens in mine. Why? Because these are so new, the Russells that we talked about before, that I haven't even got them in my kit yet. And one of the things and the reasons that we hadn't is this is a really cool thing that we've been able to do at Active Self Protection is the company that makes these, the ones that they had before, they had a little bit more air in them.
Yeah, they didn't pack real great.
And so they didn't pack great. And I don't think they thought about that because they're thinking this is for the wee-woo wagon. You know what I mean? This is for the ambulance. And I'm like, no, I need less air because I don't want to pop it while it's sitting on my ankle.
Right.
And they were like, oh, okay, let's see what we can do. And so they made them. So you can see now they're pretty darn flat. It's not like a vacuum sealed package, but they don't have that problem that the other one did.
Right. So
what I'm going to do here, I put two of them together. Again, same thing. A little bit of first aid kit origami gets those down into the correct packaging size. And then we are going to just slide those bad boys in there nice and easy. And in fact, you know what? I'm gonna actually turn that around because I don't want this little kind of lip facing inside.
That rub on your ankle.
Yeah. So now, there we go. We're gonna kind of pack that down in there. You know what I would honestly do with this at this point, quite frankly, is I would probably kick that in like this, and then I don't want this to go completely over and around, but I would probably take that like that and put a little piece of tape on it. Just something to keep that down so that it doesn't pop up and so it doesn't hurt your ankle. And there you go, friends. Now, a couple other things that you've got in here. This particular kit that they sent me, there is a single pair of nitrile gloves. Here's where we're gonna get the honest thing. I'm not the biggest fan in the world of black gloves.
Do you know why those are black?
I do know why they're black, in fact. You tell us, though.
Because at the time of this getting packaged, they didn't have any of the blue because they couldn't get any.
Because of the pandemic, there was just no way.
Now, when you order these now, they're going to be blue.
Last I heard, purple. In fact,
well, he's got some purple now.
Jacob said he had purple.
Yep.
And so purple or blue is what we would prefer. And the reason for that is when you go to do a blood check, you know, so again, if I'm going to check for blood on somebody, hard to see in a black glove, especially in low light conditions. I mean, triply so in low light conditions. So if I had blue or purple or bright orange, I don't even care, that's fine. So a colored one, then I could see the blood on my hands much easier. That being said, if there ain't no other color, black will do you better than nothing because this will keep the yuckies at bay, right? So I take these ones and the gloves go back behind my Caesars is where they go. So that guy goes back in there. Now, this guy is ready to go. The only other thing that you get, which I think is kind of cool, is you get an active self-protection patch, which is kind of cool. A little ASP patch that you can put upon your kit wherever your heart does desire it. So there you go. You can stick it right there, so then you feel like you are covering your medical ASP.
Right on.
Now, straight up, all this together, it's about 160 bucks. And you go, gosh, John, why is it 160 bucks? Because of the materials and the equipment that we put in here. Straight up, if you go and source all this stuff, I know somebody's gonna say, well, I'll just go buy all that stuff individually. You know what it's gonna cost you? It's gonna cost you about 175 bucks.
Yep.
That's what it's gonna cost you, straight up. By the time you put the tourniquet that's correct, the Kaido gauze, which is really expensive. The Kaido gauze by itself is like 50 bucks. The Russell chest seals, straight up, are twice as much money as the hyphens, okay? But they are so good and they're so easy to use. I just think they're worth the money. I think they're worth that kind of thing. So all that is going to run you about 160 bucks. Of course, I'm grateful to Mountain Man Medical for this. And one of the cool things that we've decided on this is there is a little bit of profit margin for active self-protection in this kit. But we've decided we're not keeping it. We've decided that every penny that comes out of this that we would make, that we're going to donate to charity. And so why don't you tell them the first one that we've decided?
Well, the first one that we've decided is a little group called SYC, Special Youth Challenge. These guys are a group of guys. We're going to deal with the Nebraska chapter, but there's a chapter in Iowa, Nebraska, and Colorado, and they take special needs people hunting out in the outdoors. So they do deer hunting, turkey hunting, a little bit of ice fishing. I have a little bit of a history with them as that my son hunts with them.
So
if
you've ever been in the national conference, you've gotten to meet Cody Widener, and Cody is one of my best buddies on earth. And Cody, probably without SYC, would never get to hunt. I mean, he'd get to hunt a little bit with Dad, but not the kind of deer hunting he gets to do, the turkey hunting he gets to do. And it takes these kids and it makes them feel special. And seeing these guys that just pour their heart and soul into kids.
Yeah, so they'll take 20 to 25 kids hunting over a period of a weekend. and they'll have 100 to 150 volunteers needed just
Wow.
to, I mean, you know, do you know what an electric wheelchair weighs?
Yeah.
To get somebody like that out into the sandhills of Nebraska, it takes 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah.
And so people line up to volunteer, but there are lots of expenses. And they've become really good friends of ours. And so when we decided this, that was the very first one. I'm like, hey, we're going to help out SYC.
Nice. So that's where the money goes. And I just want to say thank you to Mountain Man Medical for doing that with us. That's super cool. So after a couple years, it's going to look like this. It's going to be all wore in to you correctly, but this is what we decided to do. Take what John was doing and just offer it to you as a kit. And the reason we decided to do that, I had said for a number of years that I was just like, no, just go buy all the stuff. Like, just go buy all your stuff and put it in your kit. And then, of course, people go, but I don't want to go do all that. Well, there you go, friends. Love this cuff from Wilderness Tactical. Love Sam and her team. They do a fantastic job. Bulletproof, going to last you forever. Doesn't need the over wraps, those things. The equipment that we've chosen in here is the stuff that, in conjunction with not just Brian from Mountain Man, but with Caleb from Lone Star Medics, and several of the really highly significant medical folks that I know, put this together so that it is in a good spot. Now you know how to put it together and wear it around your ankle. I don't like a ton, like so much compression on it that it's like cutting off stuff, but there you go, guys. Hope that helps you.